Yeah, I won't because I'm not going to be standing in front of it anyway.
Oh yeah, and so
Oh yeah. Cool. Hmm.
yeah, that's useful. Um, I'll be able to elements. So you have to
Okay.
I'll say that it's the
So you're doing the acknowledgement?
Yeah, would you like to do it? I won't have to.
Yeah, I can do it. I can see it straight and out here, so.
Cool. Just say, so slides will be made available. And yeah, that's all it is. We have, say slides will be made. Oh yeah, no, there is, you have a link to your GitHub actions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's say slides will be made available.
Okay.
And then you.
Yeah.
Starting.
Yeah. Is it on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know. I'll let you look through it. Okay, we ready? Hello, everyone. Okay, so let's start now. So today's presentation is going to be basically introduction to DevOps, and will be presented by me. I'm Stanley, Education Officer at CISSA, and this is Mitchell, also Education Officer at CISSA. Before we start, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend such respect to those present here today. Yeah, topics covered. So basically, this presentation will be split for two parts. First part will be theory. So what is really DevOps, how it works, and everything like that. Then we will focus on CI/CD pipelines. And then there will be practical part with GitHub Actions and Netlify, where we basically will kind of compile our own website and deploy it on Netlify. And we will help you do it as well, because we'll be sharing our GitHub repo, and also the slides are available. So we'll share it with you as well. Okay, so what is DevOps? DevOps is basically development and operations, as the name suggests. Here's the quick definition: a set of practices, tools, and a cultural philosophy that automate and integrate the process between software development and IT teams. So it's basically just a culture of collaboration and automation aimed to close the gap between development and operation. So the key idea here is to basically automate as much as we can so that we save time. And another key thing is efficiency. We want to be as efficient with building our app as we can. And also another very important part is monitoring and feedback. So basically how it works, we build, then we deploy, and then we monitor how the how users interact with the website, so on, and we gather the feedback so we can improve our application. And here's the main idea of DevOps, which is very nicely presented here with this infinity loop. So how it works? So it starts with the plan. So we just plan our application. We define goals, and we really like set things that we want to do. Then developers write code, which is the next step. Then the code is built, which is another step, built a package and prepared for testing. Then we run tests to see if our code is working properly, if there are no like syntax errors, bugs, whatever. Then the codes get released, so it's put to production after passing all the checks and tests, and then it gets deployed. So at this part, we put our program online for people to interact with. Another step is operation. So basically just to keep the systems running, ensuring performance and uptime. And after that, we move to monitor. So we basically observe how our website works in real life, how users interact with it. We gather the data, we gather the feedback, and we go back to the plan phase, which is basically how to improve with the feedback that we just gathered, what changes can we make and how can we improve further on. Okay, so this is the main idea of DevOps. Basically, everything is connected and we just want to loop it. So it's never-ending process of improvement of our application. Okay, so why DevOps? Why should we use it? So as I said before, the key thing is automation and basically saving of time. And if we are talking about actually developing some application, time equals money. So those big companies like Netflix, for example, if Netflix crashes for an hour, they lose like millions of dollars. So they can't afford those crashes, and they can't afford to extend this process by including like manual things that they would have to do. So it's better to automate the process, make everything more efficient. And what Netflix did actually was build this environment where they like run tests all the time and they simulate some scenarios and prepare their code for that. So that it's crash proof, basically. Better collaboration. So DevOps also through integration allows developers from everywhere in the world to basically work on the same project using, for example, GitHub and just pushing the code and committing changes so that everything is very smooth and efficient. Fewer bugs. If we automate our process of testing, we set up we set up specific tests that our code has to pass to be deployed. We, of course, like it is beneficial for basically having fewer bugs and fewer errors in our code. And this process is also automated. And as I said before, continuous improvement. So basically, it's like this point is really about the culture of DevOps, because DevOps, we will be talking about practical use, but it's also like the culture that we always want to improve. And first we build, then we deploy, then we watch how it actually operates, how users interact with it, and then we improve again, and so on and so on, so that it's like never-ending improvement of our application. Okay, and the 7 C's of DevOps, which describe its life cycle basically. So yeah, continuous meaning never-ending. So development. So developers write each part of code and then push it to the one shared branch. So that also like makes the process much easier. Then the code is integrated together, so all the pieces are combined together. Often like multiple times a day. Each integration is verified by the test which we built before. And the next part is testing. So we want to set up many tests on our code to ensure that everything is working properly. And then we deploy. And this is very important, like with the tools that we will present in a bit, we can basically automate the process of deployment so that our code once pushed to the our repository automatically gets deployed. And it can be done, for example, with GitHub Actions. And you know, as I said before, those big companies, like they change the code all the time. And for example, Amazon deploys new code every like 11 seconds. So, you know, it's very important for this process to be automated and as efficient as possible because it saves time, money, and everything. Okay, then we move to continuous monitoring. So yeah, we monitor user behavior, crashes, and everything that goes wrong. Then we gather feedback from users, how they interact with our application, and what can be further improved. And operation just to maintain the running website and optimize the systems with minimal downtime. And then from operation, we once again move to development, integration, testing. Also, this process is like a loop, continuous. Okay, DevOps tools. So here I'm just going to mention like a couple of most common tools used for each part of DevOps. So continuous development. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Visual Code Studio or GitHub, which basically allows us to just write and edit our code. Then continuous integration. So here, tools like Maven or Jenkins allow us to build and compile our codes together. Then for testing, the most famous one is Selenium framework for automating web browsers used for user interface testing in web applications. So we can use this to get some like automated tests. We can also write our own tests for our codes, and you know many also like teams work in a way that they first even design the tests for their code to basically try to predict everything that can go wrong and to make the code basically crash proof completely. Okay, so then for continuous deployment and delivery, here we use GitHub Actions, Docker, or Spinnaker, and yes, basically set up CI/CD pipelines that automate testing and deployment. And we will show you how to set up a workflow which will automate these tasks with GitHub Actions. For continuous feedback, ServiceNow or Zendesk, these are just the sites to gather feedback from users that use our application. For continuous monitoring, CISSA, Dynamics, Slang, basically just to monitor and analyze machine-generated data from our website. And for continuous operations, let's say Ops, Genie, incident management platform for alerting and on-call scheduling. So these are just like some of the tools. Of course, there are many more that you can use. This would be probably the more popular ones. Okay, CI/CD pipelines. So CI/CD pipelines are continuous integration and continuous development pipelines. And here it is how it works. So we basically want to set up a pipeline that would automate the process of building our code, of testing our code, and then staging and deploying our code. So first, here's the whole process basically. So we push our code, we commit some changes, then it immediately gets built and we run tests on this code. So there are a couple of most common tests. First is unit test, which is just a test on a piece of code to see if it works. Then we run integration tests, so all the pieces of codes together. Do they interact with each other and if everything goes well here? And then end-to-end testing, which simulates a real user journey through the entire application. So after testing, codes gets to production, and it automatically gets like staged, passing all the checks, and then gets deployed. And we can automate this process, so we basically just have to push our code to Git, and it automatically gets built, tested, and deployed, so that we can do it very quickly and very easily. Yeah, so this is the concept of CI and CD pipeline, and we will show you how to set it up using GitHub Actions in a minute. Okay, so why bother? Why should we do it? So this is like kind of obvious and connected to what I was talking before. So code doesn't break existing features. CI/CD pipelines merge code into a shared repo, prepares code for deployment, detects bugs and issues early on, and automatically prepares for release, pushes code to users, tracks performance and user feedback. So it basically makes the whole process much easier for us, much more efficient, and much quicker through automation. Okay, so how to deploy a website? Very, very basic question. So what we will do in the practical part will be just to create a React app. Then we will push it to GitHub, and then we will use Netlify to deploy it. So this is like just the easiest way to deploy a website, which is very, very beginner friendly, and we will show you exactly how to do it. Cloud deployment. So once we deploy it, so it's basically about deploying your site online. So we will be using Netlify to deploy the site online, so that we can basically access it with just like Google search. So what are the differences between GitHub deployment and cloud deployment? So basically, GitHub is probably simple to set up, but we don't have full control. When we deploy on cloud, which is basically using some remote server, we can do everything with our website and configure it any way we want. It's also like better for scaling, obviously. And if you want to do like production apps, you definitely should focus on cloud deployment. GitHub is mostly like for static sites. Okay, how to get my program running on every machine. So this, I will just do a quick introduction to the concept of containerization. We won't dive that deep into it because it's a little bit more complex. But basically, this is about, okay, so let's say I wrote my application on Mac, and how do I ensure that it runs on Windows as well? Because, the operating system may be different. So the idea of containerization is to set it up in a way that it can run anywhere, not just on our machine. Think about it like that. So you cook some meal in your kitchen, and what do you do to be able to cook it everywhere, not just in your kitchen? So using this analogy, here is how it works. So first, we gather everything that our application needs to run, like libraries, dependencies, everything. So in the kitchen example, it would be just to gather all your ingredients, all your pots, pans, and whatever, and the recipe as well. And we bundle it together, and it's called an image. Then we use container engine like Docker, which I mentioned before, to create this engine that basically can run anywhere, and it uses the host operating system kernel. So it doesn't use like our computer kernel, but it uses whatever operating system that it's run on. So this is the idea of containerization, basically how to make it work anywhere, not just on our computer. Okay, and now Mitch will do the practical part.
Thank you, Ben. As Stanley said, I'm going to go into the practical portion. This should be fairly simple to follow along. I'm assuming no prior knowledge. So if you want to follow along, you can. It shouldn't be too difficult, but you can just watch if you'd like. So what we're going to do, we're going to automatically deploy a website using GitHub Actions. And that website is provided by us on our GitHub page, GitHub repo. First thing you need to do, if you don't have Git installed, you need to install Git. I'm not going to make you guys do anything except this. If you don't have Git installed, do it right now. Could I get a show of hands who doesn't have Git installed? Okay, very good. If anyone's watching online and they don't have Git installed, please do. That might be easier. Yeah, everyone hear me? Okay, yeah, if you don't have Git installed, you need to do that before you can even start your projects, really. Now, if you want to follow along, we have a GitHub repo which you can find at this link. I'll give you some time to type that in if you want. Actually, I'll open it up here. The link is just up here if you need it. So the first step for deploying a website, the code in this repository. So I'm just going to download this as a zip file. And I'm going to open up a file that I want to run my code from. So I'm just going to go to my desktop and create a new file and call it website code. Now we grab our code that we've just downloaded, and I'll extract it and copy all of this and put it in this folder. So you need all your code in one folder in one place to run from, or at least it's a lot simpler if you do. Now, once you've downloaded from the repository, if you're following along, I hope you're keeping up. You want to create your own GitHub repository that you're going to launch from. So we're going to, oh, this is in the way. Going to open up GitHub. If you don't have a GitHub account, you'll need to make one. Go to your repositories and just click here to create a new repository. I'm not going to set up any templates or README. I'm just going to give it a name, call it Codebrew DevOps website. Very simple. I'm going to make it private so that nobody can see this. If you want to see a public one, it's right here. And I'm going to create the repository. So you should now have a completely empty repository that we're going to push that code that you've downloaded into. Yep. So first of all, you need to open up a terminal and you need to navigate to your directory, which will be the file that you've put your code into. So to do that, just open up any search bar, whether you're on Windows or Mac, and search for a terminal. And you'll want to grab this directory here, copy that, and you'll see currently we're in the directory users user, and this directory is users user desktop and then website code. So to change directory, use the command cd, and then you type in the directory name, whatever you call it. And mind you, if you're on Mac, or Linux, this will be a // not a backslash. Very important, otherwise it will not work. Why isn't that worked? Yeah. No? There we go. Okay, so once you're in your directory, you want to connect to the remote repository that you've created. So moving back to this empty repository, I'm going to copy the HTTPS and go back to your terminal, and you're going to go git remote add origin, and then add that address in. And you'll see it won't work because you first need to create a Git repo in that folder, which you can just do with git init. And then type that same code from before again. And now, if you move back to here, you can add your code, commit it, and push it to the repo, and it'll be publicly available online for anyone that you share it to. Very useful if you're working in a group, you can work on it together. So we'll start with git add, and I'm just going to do -- all to add everything. If you didn't want to do that, you could specify a specific file name, but for now, we'll just do all. We can then type git status to make sure that that's worked, and you'll see it's all in green. They've all been they've all been added. So next step, you want to go git commit, and then you want to add some sort of message. Git commit, and then I'm just going to say initial message. Not the most useful message. Typically, you want to do something a little bit more informative of what you're actually doing, but for now, it doesn't really matter. And then finally, you're just going to go git push. Now, this won't work because it's the first time I'm pushing. It's going to tell me I need to do git push set upstream origin master, but this you only need to do this the first time you push. And I'll just wait for that to work. Yeah, okay. Now, if I go back to this empty GitHub repo and reload the page, all of a sudden it's not empty. You can see my message that I wrote, initial message, and you can see all of the files that I've copied from this repo. Yeah, hopefully if you're following along, I'm not going too fast. This is fairly simple, and if you do need to relook over the slides, you can. Next step, you're going to need to download Node.js. I've got 2 sets of instructions for Windows and Mac. I'm not going to do that on my machine because I've already run it, and it also takes a little while. So hopefully, if you're following along, it doesn't take you too long. I'll just give anyone a minute to type these in if they are following along. If I do have any questions, feel free to speak up. Yeah, hopefully if anyone is trying to run these, they have finished running. Shouldn't take too long. I'll move on, but if you are still waiting for it to run, then just look over the slides yourself. They'll be available at the end. Next step is to install Netlify and create your site. Now, once again, I'm not going to install Netlify on my machine because it's already installed, but you can yourself if you're following along. So I'm going to open up my terminal again and run Netlify login. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Netlify login. And if you don't already have a Netlify account, you will need to make one. But you'll see that it has said already logged in because I'm already logged in. If you're not logged in, you'll just need to put your username and password in. Very simple. Then we're going to create a website on Netlify. So I'm going to write Netlify sites create. This will create a website on your Netlify account, which you can then launch your code from. Wait for it to load. I'm just going to select my team name. If you had multiple teams, you could choose, and then you want to create your site name. It does need to be unique, so try to think of something interesting and fun if you want. I'm just going to call it DevOps Code Brew website. That should be unique. Yep, that's worked. So now if I go over to Netlify, open my account, now you'll see I've got a few different ones here, but DevOps Codebrew website, which I've just created, is now available on my Netlify account. Yeah. So once you've done that, it'll give you a site ID on the terminal, which you can copy right here. You'll want to copy this and save this somewhere somewhere where you're not going to lose it. You can get it again afterwards, but it's a little bit difficult. So just try not to lose your site ID. Yeah. So now you need to create an API key, which will give you access to deploying your website. You'll find this on Netlify. Just going to go to the search bar and search for personal access token right here. And this will allow you to create a new access token. Now, also, do not lose this. Once you've lost it, you can't get it back. You can create a new one, but it'll be very difficult. So you can set how long you want it to last for. I'm just going to do 7 days because I don't want an API key to last forever. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it Codebrew API. And I'm going to generate it, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm not going to lose it. Just going to paste it here so I don't forget it. Now, once you've got your API key, you're going to create a GitHub secret, which will be accessed by GitHub later when you deploy your website. So you're just going to go back to your GitHub, this one, and you're going to go settings, secrets and variables, and then actions. And you're going to want to create new repository secret. So this bit's very important. Your secret name has to match the name that you're going to use later. So if you're following along and using our code, please use the same name that I do. So for this one, it is going to be Netlify API token, which I should have pasted. Yep. I'm going to paste that in and just click add secret. And then the second one will be Netlify site ID, which I should have copied from over here. And I'm going to paste that one in as well and add secret. So you should have 2 secrets, your Netlify API token and your Netlify site ID. Now, creating your GitHub action. This bit is quite complex. I have done it for you already. It is in the GitHub. I'll try to quickly explain how it works, but I don't expect you to be able to do this first try. So you're going to navigate to your GitHub, go to the Actions tab, and you'll be able to create new workflows here. It will look a little bit different if you don't already have one, but you should already have one. So that workflow can also be found on a file in your repository. And if you've copied from our repository, it'll already exist as deploy. Now, this is a little bit complex looking. I don't expect you to understand exactly what's going on, but hopefully if you copy ours or use a automatically created one by GitHub. Oh, bit small, is it? Okay. Bit far. Okay. Yeah, so I'll briefly explain what's going on. So you have a name, not super important, you can call that whatever you want. You've got this on push. This is saying this action will run when you push code on GitHub. Every time you push code. This creates a branch. This creates a variable called branch name, which is checking what branch you're pushing to. Now, it's going to run on an Ubuntu machine, which is a sort of a Linux machine, if you don't know what that means. And it's going to do this checkout, which is going to check the code in your repository. There's a few more things, a bit too complicated, but basically it's going to run Node.js using version 20. It's going to install Netlify. It'll install your dependencies, which your dependencies should be in your package.json file, if you've set it up correctly, hopefully. And then it is going to run the build command, which also should be in your package.json file if you've done your front end and back end correctly. So this is using React scripts build function. Then this final little bit, just make sure that the branch name is master. You don't want to run your code if you've just pushed to some random branch. You only want to deploy if you've pushed the master. And you'll notice we're using, so the site ID is this secret that we've created earlier, Netlify site ID, and the authentication is the Netlify API token. So it's very important that you name them correctly, because if these don't match to the secrets that you've created, then it just won't work. Now, if you've either copied our workflow or you've created your own, assuming you've done it correctly, your code should actually be able to be launched. So all you need to do, if you remember, this runs on push. So I'm going to make a small change to the README file. I'm just going to write hi, going to commit the change and push it. And if you go over to the actions, you'll notice it's running this action right now, which you can open and you can watch it run. And if I've done everything correctly, it should work. Now this will take a minute because deploying a website is not fast, which is why you want to automate it. But hopefully it'll work. Pardon? Oh, yes. So you'll notice this is not the first action that's been run. There was another one that was run when I first created this 9 minutes ago. And it failed, you'll notice. The reason it's failed is because this ran when we first created the GitHub repo, and at that time, we had not yet added our secrets. So these two secrets did not exist yet, and so it's tried to run the action. And if I open the workflow file, these two secrets did not exist, and therefore the action failed. Now, hopefully, yep, you'll see there's a green check. Everything has worked correctly. Yep, it's run the complete job. So if we go back over to Netlify, close out of the API, and go to, what did I call it? DevOps Codebrew website. And this is the link here. You can open that link. And would you look at that? That is a website. You guys can go to that link right now and open it if you want. I've just launched that website. Very easy. Now it's a very basic website. It's got a very minimal front end and back end to make it as simple for you guys as possible if you do want to follow along. But yeah, hopefully that all made sense. Yeah, congratulations. If you're following along, you've launched your first website. You now know how to use Git push and pull. You know how to create a site with Netlify. And hopefully you know how to use GitHub Actions. Once again, the actual workflow is quite complex, and I don't expect you to understand it. GitHub can auto-generate them for you, or you could just copy ours, and assuming you're using React and the same dependencies, it'll all work. Now, finally, CISSA Education has launched its guides. If you go to this link, we have 6 guides out right now, and we've got more on the way. From a range of different things, from an introduction to DevOps to .NET, which was actually written by a senior developer, I believe. Oh, sorry, Next.js was. Wow, almost there. And yeah. So yeah, keep an eye out. There'll be more coming out, and I'm sure there's something in there that could help all of you. And finally, there's if you're not already a member of CISSA, we've got a QR code or a link down the bottom, and we've got a feedback form for this workshop if you'd like to give feedback. Yeah, thank you, everyone.